Good day, students. Welcome back to our series, The Rise of the Nazis. This is part 2, Rivalry with England and the Coming War, 1871 to 1905. You might remember from part 1, 1815 to 1871, we looked at rising nationalism in Germany in the 19th century and unification in 1871. First thing to consider are the two dates, 1871 and 1905. These are what we call bookend dates, and when you see bookend dates in a question, we need to define them immediately. What event happened in 1871? What happened in 1905? Why are these two dates in the topic or in the question? Well, 1871, of course, the end of the Franco-Prussian War, the establishment of the German Empire with the unification of Germany. Remember Otto von Bismarck, 3 wars of unification. He was very instrumental in that unification of Germany in 1871. Well, why 1905? We'll see today, toward the end of part 2, the video for part 2, that in 1905, Alfred von Schlieffen completed what was known as the Schlieffen Plan, a plan to keep this newly created Germany, this new kid on the block, this rising industrial and military power, to keep them out of what they call a Zwei-Front-Krieg, or a two-front war. So without further ado, let's take a look at what we are going to look at in detail in this video clip. Number 1, we're going to look at German industrialization in the second half of the 19th century and what that means for the peace, the stability, the status quo established in 1815 at the Congress of Vienna. This peace in Europe. Remember, Benjamin Disraeli said shortly after German unification in 1871 that Germany now constitutes the greatest threat to European power, and especially to British power. And what the British love, the BOP, or balance of power in Europe. The second thing we will examine today is Kaiser Wilhelm II, his ascension to the throne after his dad's death in 1888. We'll take a look at his relationships, firstly with Bismarck, and then with his mother in England. More about that as we continue. And then number 3, we will end with the Schlieffen Plan, and take a look at that plan in more detail, why it was developed and what its aims were. Number 1, German industrialization and what it meant for peace and stability, the BOP, the balance of power in Europe. By the mid-19th century, Germany's vaunted railway system was functioning well, and the country was industrializing its natural resources, especially coal and steel. This would be very important for the creation of a strong German army and German navy by the end of the 19th century. Germany is also moving quickly ahead in the field of public education. It's educating its populace, especially in the fields of math and science, and it's developing technical universities at a high rate of speed. This combination of industrialization and education will be reflected in German military power by the beginning of the 20th century, but more importantly for that time, maritime or naval power. Germany will enter the top 5, will crack the list of the top 5 naval powers in the world, including Great Britain, the United States, France, and Russia, and it will really get into a navy and arms race with its rival, England. Kaiser Wilhelm II, number 2. The son of Kaiser Wilhelm I, Kaiser Wilhelm II in German. He ascends the throne in 1888 and begins working with Otto von Bismarck, a man he greatly respected for what he was able to accomplish up until that time. However, he is going to have a falling out with Bismarck because Kaiser Wilhelm II has ideas on Weltmacht. He would like to make Germany into a world power, whereas Otto von Bismarck is very careful to avoid that two-front war and make sure that he has alliances with Germany's powerful neighbors. This system is known as the Bismarck Alliance System. In 1879, the Du Alliance is created with Austria-Hungary, and other alliances are made so that Russia so that Russia will not be one of Germany's main enemies throughout the last half of the 19th century and early 20th century. The main aim, as noted, of the Bismarck alliance system is to stay out of the nightmare scenario of a two-front war, to be sandwiched between France and to be sandwiched between Russia, the France and Russian sandwich. Throw England in there and Germany will have a very difficult time winning any war in Europe. Bismarck is ousted in 1890. Kaiser Wilhelm II begins in more earnest eagerness to make Germany a world power. Economically, as we've seen, it is rising. Industrially, it is rising. Militarily, it is rising. To the notice of France, to the notice of England, and to the notice of Russia. These neighbors begin to form alliances. Even France and Russia. If you remember the Napoleonic Wars, there's bad blood between France and Russia. But they will create an alliance in 1894, a military alliance, to counter the growing threat of a powerful Germany. And then, of course, the unthinkable. England and France, enemies for centuries, rivals in the New World, rivals for colonies around the world, yet they will make an entente cordiale in 1904 to counter this growing German strength. The second relationship we're going to look at, Kaiser Wilhelm II and his mother, Princess Vicky, the eldest daughter of Queen Victoria of Europe. Kaiser Wilhelm II's mother supposedly fell on her stomach when she was 4 months pregnant. This created a difficult birth when the Kaiser was born. He nearly died. He came out with a severely damaged arm. His arm was damaged for the rest of his life, precluding or restricting him from hunting, from military, these things that he took as very masculine and something a man, especially a Kaiser, should be able to do. Some psychologists and historians claim this fuels an aggressive domestic and foreign policy throughout Kaiser Wilhelm II's reign. Aggressive policy focused on Great Britain, or perhaps, as some psychologists say, on his mother. Some psychologists, including Dr. Brett Carr, say that the Kaiser had an unhealthy infatuation with his mother, going so far as to say that he had incestuous feelings and desires for his mother, and when these were not reciprocated, he focused his hatred on his mother and on her nation of Great Britain. Number 3, the Schlieffen Plan. The chief of the German Imperial Staff from 1897 to 1905 tasked with creating a plan that will keep Germany from being destroyed in a two-front war by its powerful neighbors. Part 1 of the two-part plan is for the German army to go through Holland and Belgium, both neutral states, into France and striking a knockout blow against Paris, taking France out of any potential war. The second step is using the German railway system to transport troops to the Eastern Front, invade and destroy Russia before the Tsar has a chance to mobilize his army. The Schlieffen Plan assumes two things. Number 1, that France is weak, and number 2, that Russia and the Tsar will not be able to mobilize troops in time for any potential German invasion. Will the plan work? We will see in part 3 when we look at the assassination in the Balkans and the war to end all wars, 1906 to 1919. The war to end all wars, World War I, will set the stage for the rise of Hitler and the Nazis in the 1920s. Thank you very much for listening and watching. If you liked this video or found it useful, please do subscribe and please do hit the like button.